Sophia sat in her office, the glow from her phone screen illuminating her tired face. A short message from James popped up. "There's a small gathering at my place tonight. Just a few drinks and some conversation. You'll enjoy it." She hesitated, her finger hovering over the reply button. A long week of deadlines, meetings, and the usual chaos had left her drained. The thought of a quiet night at home was tempting, but something about James's message intrigued her. He always had a way of making everything sound irresistible, and their friendship, built over years of laughter and late-night conversations, was a comfort she couldn't easily dismiss. She sighed and typed back, "All right, I'll come." She glanced at the clock, 6:45 p.m. If she left now, she'd have just enough time to freshen up before heading to James's penthouse. Back at her apartment, Sophia stood in front of her closet, unsure of what to wear. This wasn't a date, but James's gatherings always had a touch of sophistication. She finally settled on a sleek black dress that hugged her curves without being too revealing. It made her feel confident, and tonight, she needed that. As she slipped on her heels and grabbed her coat, she couldn't shake the feeling that tonight might be different. The taxi ride to James's building was quiet, the city lights blurring past the window like streaks of light. She wondered who else would be there. James always attracted interesting people, but he hadn't mentioned anything about the guest list. As the taxi pulled up to the upscale high-rise, Sophia stepped out, her heart beating a little faster. The elevator ride to the penthouse was smooth, the only sound being the soft hum of the machinery. When the doors opened, James was already there, his warm smile immediately putting her at ease. "Sophia, you made it," he said, his hand lightly resting on her back as he guided her inside. The gesture was familiar and comforting, but tonight it sent a strange shiver through her. The penthouse was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the glittering cityscape, and the soft hum of jazz music filled the air, creating an atmosphere that was both relaxing and elegant. James handed her a glass of whiskey, the ice clinking gently, and led her to the marble bar where two other men were standing, engaged in quiet conversation. "Sophia, this is Victor and Robert," James introduced, his voice smooth as always. Victor leaned against the bar, his sharp features and confident grin immediately catching her eye. He exuded a magnetic energy, the kind of person who could command a room without trying. Robert was quieter, his piercing eyes seeming to see right through her. He didn't say much, but when he did, his words carried a weight that made her want to listen closely. As they began to talk, Sophia found herself relaxing. James was the life of the room, telling stories that had them all laughing, while Victor added his own quips, his deep voice carrying a hint of mischief. Robert mostly listened, but his occasional remarks were perfectly timed, making her hang on his every word. The whiskey warmed her from the inside, and she couldn't deny the energy in the room. It wasn't just the alcohol, it was them. Each one, in their own way, seemed to be drawing her in. As the night progressed, the conversation deepened. Sophia learned that Victor was a thrill-seeker, always chasing new experiences, whether it was sneaking into a concert or climbing a mountain on a whim. Robert, on the other hand, was a writer, his quiet demeanor hiding a mind full of stories and observations about the world. And James, of course, was the successful entrepreneur, his charm and sophistication a product of years spent navigating high-stakes deals and social circles. Despite their differences, the three men shared a natural chemistry, and Sophia felt herself becoming part of it. She laughed at their jokes, shared her own stories, and for the first time in weeks, she forgot about the pressures of work. There was something intoxicating about being the center of their attention, even if just for one night. Then, the conversation took a playful turn. James leaned forward, a mischievous glint in his eye. "All right," he said, setting his glass down. "Let's make things interesting. A little truth game, no lies, no holding back." Victor raised an eyebrow, a smirk playing on his lips. "Dangerous." "Exactly," James replied, his smile widening. I'll start. What's the most daring thing you've ever done? Victor chuckled. Snuck into a concert once. Got caught, but it was worth it. Robert thought for a moment. I once bought a ticket to Europe on a whim. Just got on the plane and went. When it was Sophia's turn, all eyes were on her. She laughed nervously, taking a sip of her drink. I'm not sure I've done anything that daring. Victor's grin widened. You look like someone who has it in you. James leaned closer, his voice lowering. We could change that tonight. The air in the room shifted, charged with something unspoken. Sophia's heart raced, but she played along, curious to see where this would go. The game continued, the questions growing more personal. They asked about hidden desires, secret fears, and moments of vulnerability. Sophia found herself opening up more than she expected, and the men did the same. Victor admitted to a fear of commitment, Robert shared about a lost love, and James revealed a side of himself Sophia had never seen, a longing for something deeper than the glamorous life he led. Then came the question that changed everything. James leaned in, his gaze locking onto hers. If you could spend the night with anyone in this room, who would it be? Sophia's breath caught in her throat. The room fell silent, the weight of the question hanging in the air. She knew they were teasing, but the intensity in their eyes told her they were waiting for an answer. Her mind raced, James with his effortless charm, Victor with his raw magnetism, Robert with his quiet depth. How could she choose? Instead of picking one, she blurted out, why not all three? It was meant as a joke, a way to diffuse the tension, but the way they looked at her afterward made it clear they were all thinking the same thing. The silence stretched, and for a moment, Sophia wondered if she had gone too far. But then James smiled, slow and knowing, and the atmosphere shifted again, this time into something electric and undeniable. James was the first to move. He stepped closer, his hand brushing against hers as he took her glass and set it on the table. You always did know how to steal the spotlight, he said softly, his voice low and smooth. His hand lingered on hers, and when he tilted his head, his lips met hers in a slow, deliberate kiss. It was warm, inviting, and just a little teasing, as if he was testing her reaction. Sophia's breath hitched as his other hand slid to the small of her back, pulling her closer. Then she felt Victor behind her, his presence unmistakable. He placed his hands on her hips, his touch firm but patient. Don't think you're getting all the attention, he murmured into her ear before trailing a line of kisses down the side of her neck. Robert stepped in front of her, his gaze steady, a mix of admiration and desire as he reached out, tracing a slow line from her collarbone to her jaw. His touch was gentle yet firm, as if he wanted to savor every moment. The world outside the penthouse faded away, leaving only the four of them, caught in a moment that felt both surreal and inevitable. Sophia's heart pounded as their touches grew more confident, more intimate. Victor's hands found the zipper of her dress, and with a smooth motion, the fabric slid down her body, pooling at her feet. She stood there, vulnerable yet empowered, as their eyes roamed over her. James's hands skimmed the sides of her thighs, his lips pressing feather-like kisses along the curve of her neck. You're beautiful, he murmured, his voice gravelly with desire. Robert's kiss deepened, slower this time, making her knees weak as she leaned into him, her hands gripping his shoulders for balance. Behind her, Victor's touch was rougher, more impatient, his lips finding her shoulder as he guided her toward the couch. Together, they created a symphony of sensation, each bringing something unique. Victor's confident dominance, Robert's slow and steady affection, James's teasing playfulness. Sophia felt every touch, every kiss, every whispered word with an intensity that left her breathless. It wasn't just physical, it was an unspoken connection, an undeniable energy flowing between them. As the night unfolded, Sophia surrendered to the moment, her body trembling under their combined touch. It wasn't just passion, it was an explosion of connection, a raw and all-encompassing experience that left her gasping, completely undone. Hours later, they lay tangled on the couch, the soft glow of the city lights washing over them. Victor leaned back, his arm draped lazily over Sophia, his breathing steady and deep. Robert was on her other side, his fingers absent-mindedly tracing patterns on her arm. James sat at the edge of the couch, his hand resting on her leg as he looked out at the skyline. That, James said, breaking the silence, was worth the wait. Victor chuckled, his voice low and warm. I think we'd all agree on that. Sophia smiled, her chest still rising and falling in the aftershocks of everything that had just happened. I don't think I've ever had a night like this, she admitted softly. Robert leaned down, pressing a gentle kiss to her temple. You deserved it, he said simply, his voice filled with a sincerity that made her heart ache in the best way. The night faded into soft laughter and quiet conversation, the four of them basking in the glow of the connection they had shared. It was more than just passion, it was a moment that would stay with Sophia forever, a story she would replay in her mind for years to come. As she looked out at the city lights, Sophia couldn't help but wonder what the future held. But for now, she was content to savor the memory of a night that had changed everything. It follows Sophia's journey through an unexpected night of connection and desire, told with vivid descriptions and emotional.